The rain hammered against the car windows as Detective Sarah Chen stared at the empty swing set. It swayed back and forth in the storm, creaking like a broken promise. Detective Marcus Rivera pulled up beside her, his dark eyes meeting hers through the glass. Neither of them spoke. They both knew what this meant. Another child was gone. It had started 3 hours earlier with a frantic 911 call. My daughter, Emma. The woman's voice cracked through the static. She's been missing for 2 days. The police won't listen to me. Sarah had taken the call herself, something pulling at her chest when she heard the desperation. "Ma'am, what's your name?" Sarah asked gently. "Rebecca Martinez. I live at 847 Maple Street. Please, you have to help me find my little girl." Sarah exchanged a look with Marcus across their shared desk. This wasn't their usual case. Missing children. Went to the Family Crimes Unit. But something in Rebecca's voice made Sarah write down the address. Marcus leaned over, his cologne mixing with the coffee-stained air of the precinct. "You thinking what I'm thinking?" he whispered. Sarah's pulse quickened, the way it always did when Marcus was this close. "That this isn't a runaway case," she breathed. Their eyes held for a moment too long. Marcus's wedding ring caught the fluorescent light. Sarah looked away first, like she always did. "Let's go talk to the mother," Marcus said, grabbing his jacket. Rebecca Martinez opened the door before they could knock. She was a small woman, maybe 40, with dark circles under her eyes and trembling hands. "Are you the detectives?" she asked, hope bleeding through her voice. "I'm Detective Chen. This is Detective Rivera," Sarah said softly. She noticed how Marcus straightened his shoulders, taking his protective stance. It's what he did when children were involved. One of the things that made her fall for him years ago. "Tell us about Emma," Sarah continued, following Rebecca into the modest living room. The house was clean but worn, the kind of place where every dollar mattered. Emma's school photos covered the mantel like a timeline of missing moments. "She's 12, Rebecca said, her voice catching. "She's never run away before, never even stayed out past curfew." Marcus sat forward in his chair, hands clasped. "When did you last see her?" "Saturday morning. She was going to her friend Lily's house to work on a science project." "And Lily confirms this?" Sarah asked, already knowing something was wrong. Rebecca's face crumpled. "That's just it. Lily says Emma never came over. She never showed up." Sarah felt the familiar chill of a case that wasn't what it seemed. 2 days missing, no trace, no witnesses. "Mrs. Martinez," Marcus said carefully, "have you noticed anyone hanging around the neighborhood recently? Anyone Emma might have mentioned?" Rebecca shook her head, then stopped. "Wait. There was. Emma did mention something about a woman, an older woman who'd been asking kids questions at the park." Sarah and Marcus exchanged glances. "What kind of questions?" "About their families. Whether they were happy at home." Emma thought it was weird. But Rebecca's voice trailed off as she realized what she was saying. "Mrs. Martinez," Sarah said gently, "we need you to think carefully. Did Emma seem troubled about anything lately? Problems at school? At home?" "No, nothing like that. She's a good girl. Sweet. Maybe too trusting, but..." Rebecca stopped, tears spilling down her cheeks. "She's all I have. Her father left when she was 5. It's just been us." Marcus reached across and squeezed Rebecca's hand. Sarah felt a familiar pang, watching him comfort another broken mother. His own wife had lost a baby 3 years ago. He'd never talked about it, but Sarah saw how it changed him. made him more gentle with families, made her love him more, even though she couldn't say it. "We're going to find her," Marcus said firmly. "How can you be sure?" Rebecca whispered. "Because we don't give up," Sarah said, meaning it. Outside in the rain, Sarah and Marcus stood beside their cars, planning their next move. "The park?" Marcus asked. "The park," Sarah agreed. But as they drove through the storm, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that Emma Martinez hadn't just disappeared. She'd been taken, and whoever had her wasn't planning to bring her back. Riverside Park was empty, except for the maintenance worker cleaning the restrooms. "You see any strange women around here lately?" Marcus asked him. The older man, whose name tag read Frank, stopped mopping and thought, "Funny you ask. Yeah, there was this lady, real put-together type, expensive clothes, nice car." "How long ago?" Sarah pressed. "Been coming around for about a week. Always during school hours, asking kids questions when they'd come by after classes." Sarah felt her stomach drop. What did she look like? Blonde, maybe 50, drove a black SUV, real friendly, but something about her felt off, you know. Marcus was already on his phone. "We need to check the traffic cameras around the park for the past week," he told dispatch. Sarah walked to the swing set, where Emma had last been seen playing. The chains were cold and wet. Under her fingers, she closed her eyes, trying to feel what Emma might have felt that day. Trust, then fear. "Sarah." Marcus's voice was tight. She turned to see him holding his phone, his face pale. "There's been another call. A woman matching Emma's description was seen getting into a black SUV downtown." "When?" "An hour ago." They ran for their cars, but as Sarah started her engine, her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "The girl is safe. For now, stop looking, or she won't stay that way." Sarah's blood turned to ice. She showed the message to Marcus. "Whoever has Emma knows we're investigating," she said. "Which means we're getting close," Marcus replied, his jaw set with determination. "But close to what? And how long did Emma have before safe became something else entirely?" The downtown location was a dead end. No security cameras, no witnesses, no black SUV. But Sarah's phone buzzed again. This time, it was a photo. Emma Martinez, sitting in what looked like a basement room, holding today's newspaper. She was alive, but the fear in her 12-year-old eyes made Sarah's chest tighten. "We need to trace this number," Marcus said, looking over Sarah's shoulder. His breath was warm against her neck. For a moment, neither of them moved. "Marcus," Sarah whispered. "I know," he said quietly. "Me too." The words hung between them like a confession they couldn't take back. Sarah's phone rang, breaking the moment. "Detective Chen." "Stop looking for the girl," a woman's voice said, distorted by some kind of voice changer. "Where is Emma?" Sarah demanded. "Safe. For now. But if you don't stop investigating, that changes." "What do you want?" "I want Rebecca Martinez to suffer the way I've suffered." The line went dead. Sarah stared at Marcus, pieces clicking into place. "This isn't random," she said. "Someone has a grudge against Rebecca. We need to dig into her past." Marcus agreed, but as they drove back to the station, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling they were missing something important. Something about Rebecca Martinez herself, something she hadn't told them. The background check on Rebecca Martinez revealed a life of struggle but nothing criminal. Single mother, works as a nurse at Mercy General Hospital, no serious deaths, no enemies. Too clean, Marcus muttered, scrolling through the records. What do you mean? I mean everyone has something. An ex who's angry, a coworker who holds grudges, family drama. This is too perfect. Sarah leaned back in her chair, studying Rebecca's employment history. Wait, look at this. She pointed to a gap in Rebecca's work record from 6 years ago. She was unemployed for 8 months. Right after Emma's father left. Could be depression, financial problems, Marcus suggested, or something else. Sarah pulled up court records from that time period. What she found made her stomach turn. Marcus. Rebecca Martinez was sued for medical malpractice 6 years ago. What happened? A patient died under her care. A woman named Patricia Kelly. Marcus leaned over Sarah's shoulder to read the screen. His proximity made her pulse race, but she forced herself to focus. The case was dismissed. But Patricia Kelly's family blamed Rebecca for her death. Marcus finished. They stared at each other, understanding dawning. She left behind a daughter. Patricia Kelly had died of complications during surgery. What they found chilled them both. A daughter named Victoria Kelly, currently 51 years old, drives a black Lexus SUV, and according to her DMV photo, blonde. Sarah was already dialing. Son of a bitch, Marcus breathed. Mrs. Martinez? It's Detective Chen. I need you to tell me about Patricia Kelly. The silence on the other end stretched too long. Mrs. Martinez? How did you? Rebecca's voice was barely a whisper. We know about the malpractice suit. We know Patricia Kelly died 6 years ago. It wasn't my fault, Rebecca said, starting to cry. The surgery was routine, but she had a reaction to the anesthesia. There was nothing I could do. Victoria. She blamed me. She said I killed her mother. The lawsuit nearly destroyed me financially. But worse than that. What? What happened with her daughter? Where does Victoria Kelly live? Mrs. Martinez? Sarah felt the pieces sliding into place, with sickening clarity. Where does Victoria Kelly live? Mrs. Martinez? I don't know. After the suit was dismissed, she disappeared. I thought it was over, but it wasn't over. It was just beginning. Victoria Kelly's last known address was a dead end. The house had been sold 3 years ago, but property records showed she'd purchased a cabin in the mountains 40 miles outside the city. Remote, isolated, perfect for keeping someone hidden. We should call for backup, Sarah said, as they drove through the winding mountain roads. No time, Marcus replied, his hands tight on the steering wheel. The rain had turned to snow, making the roads treacherous. Sarah's phone buzzed. Another photo of Emma. This time, she was crying. Drive faster, Sarah whispered. Marcus pressed the accelerator, taking the curves at dangerous speeds. Neither of them spoke about what might happen if they were too late. The cabin appeared through the trees, like something from a nightmare. Dark windows, isolated, no neighbors for miles. Perfect for someone who wanted to make others disappear. You take the back, Marcus said, checking his weapon. Marcus. Sarah caught his arm. Be careful. Their eyes met in the dim light of the car. You too, he said softly. Then they were moving, splitting up in the snow. Sarah's heart hammered as she approached the front door. She could hear voices inside. One adult female, one young girl. Crying? Sarah tested the door handle. Locked, but through the window, she could see them. Emma Martinez, tied to a chair in the living room, and Victoria Kelly, pacing back and forth with something in her hand. A knife. Sarah's blood froze. She signaled to Marcus, who had positioned himself at the back door. They moved simultaneously. Police, don't move. Victoria Kelly spun around, the knife glinting in the dim light. You're too late, she screamed. She's going to suffer just like my mother suffered. Put the weapon down, Marcus commanded, moving closer. My mother died because of her. Victoria gestured wildly toward Emma. Rebecca Martinez killed her. Your mother died from a medical complication, Sarah said, trying to keep her voice calm. Rebecca didn't kill her. She did. She was careless, incompetent. She deserved to lose her daughter. Emma sobbed harder, tugging at the ropes binding her wrists. It's going to be okay, Emma, Sarah said gently. We're going to get you out of here. No, you're not, Victoria snarled, raising the knife. That's when Marcus moved. He tackled Victoria from the side, sending the knife flying across the room. They hit the floor hard, Victoria screaming obscenities as Marcus cuffed her. Sarah rushed to Emma, cutting the ropes with her pocket knife. Are you hurt, sweetheart? She asked, pulling the girl into her arms. Emma clung to her, sobbing. I want my mom, she whispered. We're taking you to her right now, Sarah promised. 2 hours later, they stood in the hospital parking lot, watching Rebecca Martinez hold her daughter. The reunion was everything Sarah hoped it would be. Tears, laughter, promises to never let go again. Good work, Marcus said quietly. You too. They stood in comfortable silence, watching the family they'd reunited. Sarah, Marcus said finally. She turned to look at him. What I said earlier, in the car, I know, she said softly. My marriage, I know, she repeated. And yours? Sarah looked down at her own wedding ring. Over has been for months. We just haven't made it official yet. Marcus nodded slowly. Maybe when this is all sorted out, we could. Yeah, Sarah said, smiling for the first time all day. Maybe we could. Emma Martinez looked up from her mother's arms and waved at them. The gesture was small, but it meant everything. They'd brought her home, they'd restored a family, and maybe, Sarah thought as she watched Marcus wave back, they were on their way to creating something new themselves, something worth fighting for. The snow continued to fall, but it felt like a beginning rather than an end. Justice served, family restored, love acknowledged. Sometimes the best cases were the ones that changed everything. 6 months later, Sarah Chen Rivera stood in the courthouse, wearing a simple white dress. Marcus straightened his tie nervously. You sure about this? He whispered. I've never been more sure of anything, she replied. In the front row, Rebecca and Emma Martinez smiled up at them. The girl who'd brought them together had become part of their extended family. The wedding was small, simple, perfect, but the real ceremony had happened in a snow-covered cabin, when two people who loved each other finally admitted the truth. Sometimes the most important cases aren't the ones you solve. Sometimes they're the ones that solve you. And sometimes justice looks like a 12-year-old girl safely in her mother's arms, and two detectives who found each other while finding her. The end.